When you think of the album Eternal Sunshine by Ariana Grande, what comes to mind? Is it this cover, or maybe you even think of this one? I can guarantee you that there is not 100% consensus on this question, which I believe is extremely threatening to the art of the album cover. I can understand having multiple album covers to an extent. There are times where I think this has been done well. For example, Chappell Roan's single The Giver. I thought those were very cute and went with the song's concept well. I also believe that the variants for Halsey's The Great Impersonator worked well when it came to visual identity, because all of these covers were cohesive and tied into the album's overall concept. In the case of the song The Giver and the album The Great Impersonator, multiple variants worked, but this is a rare occurrence. Most of the time, having so many album covers tends to drift from the album's theme. Think about Vibe by Doja Cat. For that album, there were a countless amount of alternative covers. The album itself sonically has a pretty 80s inspired sound, which is captured in some of the alternative covers, but most of them aren't really giving that, especially the main cover, which does kind of throw the concept off, especially for me. I also found it strange that alternative covers were announced before the standard edition cover. I mean, it's getting a little bit out of control with multiple variants, especially when we have artists like Cardi B putting their memes that have nothing to do with the creative process of making the album as a cover. I mean, this original cover art for Am I the Drama is gorgeous to me. It's a little bit sad to know that when someone thinks of this album, they think of this instead of that stunning art with the crows. I even asked myself if Sabrina's Man's Best Friend cover would still be as iconic if not for the scandal and discourse surrounding it. If you took that cover away, would the new standard edition one still be recalled as well as it is? This issue may seem unimportant. You may be thinking, but Skylar, isn't getting more content good? Well, it depends how you think about it. While I do love getting served more visuals from my favorite artists, I believe that sticking to one album cover makes the album more iconic. When we think about an album's visual identity, usually the first thing we think of is the cover. With so many different covers, everyone is thinking of something different, which makes all of the covers less recognizable. When we consider the album Brat by Charli XCX, there were some alt covers for vinyls and other editions, but it stuck pretty true to that iconic green color, and even when the version wasn't that green, the Arial font and simplistic design still made it recognizable. The surplus and speed at which artists are releasing album variants is not only sacrificing the album's visual identity, but it's also wasteful, and in my opinion, it leans towards being a predatory tactic towards fans. Releasing multiple variants has a lot to do with boosting an album's sales, which I get is somewhat important for financial reasons and merit. These artists and labels know die-hard fans will collect all the variants, so the more variants they put out, the more money they can squeeze from the fans. And I'm not blaming the fans at all. I totally understand wanting to collect your favorite artist's album variants. However, in my opinion, the amount of variants done by some artists feels predatory towards the fans. You could say, well, they don't have to buy them. I mean, that is somewhat a valid argument. They're not going to want to be left with an incomplete collection. So the label knows that fans will purchase as many variants as they put out, even if that means making sacrifices. In my opinion, I think retailers could possibly be asking for the artists to do these alt covers, so fans are more enticed to buy the album from their store, but it's even happening on artists' personal web stores. When I talk about album variants, and especially the sales they generate, I'm not naive. I know who pops into your head. Obviously, Taylor Swift. For the life of a showgirl, Taylor and her team created arguably 14 covers, if we're not counting like alternative albums. In my opinion, I don't think it dampens the album's visual identity, contrary to what I believe the majority opinion is. I don't think the album's visual identity really suffers that bad in the case of The Life of a Showgirl because they are cohesive, but what I do believe it does is make the actual standard edition cover way less memorable. As I said in the beginning, everybody probably has a different answer for what cover they think of first with this album. Sure, we get more of a look into Taylor's showgirl world and vision through these photos, but I don't get why most of these alt covers couldn't have been just like Instagram posts. Something specific that I find extra annoying about these is that a lot of these covers are just photos from the Fate of Ophelia music video. That especially feels like a cash grab to me, and this is coming from a big Taylor fan, like don't get that confused. I wanted to make sure I addressed Taylor in this video to not seem like I'm avoiding the topic because I definitely agree it's too much. But to give her some credit artistically, I also have to say, even with multiple covers, Taylor seemed to have a clearer, more cemented visual identity for The Life of a Showgirl compared to her other previous two albums, Midnights and The Tortured Poets Cat's department. Honestly, I'm not even 100% sure off the top of my head what the standard Tortured Poets department album cover is. Even though I actually see The Life of a Showgirl as an improvement for Taylor in the visual department, I still don't think the visual identity of this album will stand as strong or age as well compared to if they settled on one signature cover for the album. And while we're talking about Taylor Swift, I have to admit that I believe the issue with her releases isn't even the visual story being blurred with multiple covers. I think the bigger issue is the limited releases of new versions and variants, especially when they're up to purchase for a limited time before anyone's even heard the album. It definitely seemed like those countdowns she was doing to the announcement of being able to buy a new variant got very old very fast to most people. And I wonder if the fiscal times we're in the US had anything to do with that. Making an educated guess, I'd guess so. I just don't think treating fans like cash cows is the best look, especially right now and especially when you're a billionaire. I don't even believe Taylor has the biggest issue when it comes to being money hungry, but I do believe that with Taylor being at the spot she is, she could very well set an example by decreasing the number of variants and versions she releases. It also sets a weird standard in the music industry, because if someone wants to compete with her release, it's almost impossible to do that without milking fans for money, because if you only have one variant, how are you supposed to compete with someone who's put out over 14? Not only does releasing an overwhelming amount of album covers prey on fans and weaken an album's visual identity, it poses great risk to the environment. Billie Eilish has been a big mouthpiece for this idea. In 2024, she did an interview with Billboard where she touched on the wastefulness of variants. She told them, quote, "I find it really frustrating as somebody who goes out of my way to be sustainable and do the best that I can and try to involve everyone in my team in being sustainable. And then it's just some of the biggest artists in the world making 40 different vinyl packages that have a different unique thing just to get you to keep buying more." End quote. According to Matt Brennan, a professor at the University of Glasgow, the PVC plastic used to make vinyls is one of the most hazardous plastics to our earth. And even if you're keeping your records forever, they're still packaged in lots of single-use plastic most of the time. And again, I'm not telling you to stop buying physical media or vinyls or anything like that. I do it quite a bit myself. This is more of a conversation about the big businesses. When it comes to helping the environment, in my opinion, the people can only do so much. I think it's more so the responsibility of big companies to make sure they're practicing their businesses in a way that is environmentally conscious. With the excess of consumerism, stingy business practices, and messy visions, it makes me wonder, what are these album covers even for? Well, as we established, seemingly mostly money. Also, charts and sales records. But as an artist, is sacrificing your album's visual identity, treating your fans like cash cows, and harming the planet worth a spot on a chart? I think most people would agree that chart placements and records are relatively unimportant in comparison to creating a cohesive body of work that resonates with people visually and sonically. To end this video, I just want to say, an album will age well when people remember the cover and build a connection with the music. An album doesn't just age well because it had so many weeks at #1 on Billboard or set a sales record. Going into 2026, predatory consumerism is out and humanness is in. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below. This was mostly an opinion piece, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. Sorry if this video was a little bit short, but I'll have a new one coming pretty soon. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my next video. Thank you so much for watching my videos and supporting me to get into the partner program. But that's really all I have to say for today, so have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.